Boom! All right, the Reds. It's another episode of the Late Challenge, and it comes after we've won the derby. We've won the derby again, and Liverpool are top of the league. Played 15 points, scored 11 goals, conceded 5 points clear of Arsenal, 7 points clear of Man City. No, 8.
You're right.
I was right the first time. Shut up, Gareth. And so, yeah, it's going well, isn't it? It's all right, isn't it? And yet, still we hear around the edges that there's some kind of problem. There's no problem. We're top of the league, we're flying, and all is good in the Liverpool world. All not so good in the Everton world. We will come on to that because we did play them and it is relevant. But a bit of admin to kick off. I mean, first of all, Mo, people might be wondering why at 15:27 on a Monday we're going live now as opposed to, you know, the usual time of day.
So, yeah, I dropped the ball on this one, everyone. So it's been a bit of a frantic weekend for both of us, and normally, when there's a game happening, the day before the game, there's normally a press conference. And I woke up this morning in a cold sweat at 6 a.m. thinking, wait, I don't know when the press conference is. So I could try to find out when the press conference is. I looked here, I looked there, I looked online, I looked on I went on Liverpool's website, I went on the YouTube channel. I even reached out to a few other people who were clearly still asleep. And then I did what you normally do, which is I tried to use AI. So I went on the Google's AI and said, when is the next Liverpool press conference? And they said it was at 6:45 today. And I was like, well, that's shit, because that's when we normally do our show. So I then messaged you and the boys at the studio frantically saying, we need to reschedule because I've got to be at Kirby at 6:45. Turns out that wasn't true. Turns out there is no press conference happening today. Turns out you can't trust AI. So, yeah, I did all that for nothing. And consequently, everyone, by the way, I want to say a shout out to these boys who were happy and willing and able to accommodate my stupidity at the drop of a hat. But all that means is you get us an hour and a half early. So you're welcome.
I mean, it possibly means we're a bit more awake. But, you know, that's nice. It also means, I mean, regardless, I would have had to get a cab here because some prick drove into me yesterday. But never mind that. Maybe more of that later. We're going to talk about mental health in quite some depth later on the Patreon show. We felt that was fitting, given the sad passing away of Matt Beard, which came as a shock to everyone. Matt was genuinely a lovely fella, and there's very few people, if anyone, who seem to have a bad word for him, which says everything you need to know. So, with that and with what's happened with Ricky Hatton as well, we thought we'd have a bit of a chat. So that's over on Patreon later on. But as I said, we are going to get into the footy first off. A few little bits of admin as well. Now, anyone who follows on Twitter, either me or The Late Challenge, will have noticed that I've been quite frequently sharing league tables that look like CFAX. Now, I'm very, very happy that this is a thing, like ridiculously happy. Like how happy I was when Mo gave me a new Mr. Tiki ring that worked. That kind of happy. Because deep down, I'm a child at heart. And as a child, like so many of us, I turned to teletext and CFAX for me footy and to play bamboozle and all of them things. So someone's made an app where basically you can pull up the league tables, you can see the latest news, all of that, in literally the old style CFAX. It's called Telescore. You can just look it up on the App Store and get involved. And it's just one of them. I think if you're of a certain age, it just chimes, doesn't it?
Warms my heart,
It's
definitely.
lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
It literally, like, I look at that table, I've got it in front of me right now, and I can think of me nan's scouse. You know what I mean?
Smell it.
I can like taste it. Yeah, I can think of sitting in her living room watching the footy scores and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's lovely. Get involved. The other thing I wanted to mention is I'll just move this out the way for those watching. So if you were listening, that wouldn't have worked, but sorry, but basically I was pointing to my top. So the people at Art of Football very kindly got in touch and said, would you like us to send you some stuff to have a look at and see what you think? I said, yes, please, that would be very kind of you. And it's arrived, and I really like this.
It's good.
It's retro kits, if you can't see it. And it's embroidered rather than just like a screen print. So it's very nice, very posh, very thick. Would recommend. I've bought stuff off Art of Football myself before, and they are very good. You know, some gaffs you're never sure what you're getting. You're not sure of the quality of the print. You're not sure of the quality of the actual T-shirt or jumper or whatever. Can confirm it's all good. artoffootball.com. They're on social media and all that as well. And yeah, this top I would very much recommend. There's a nice Anfield one as well, which is worth checking out. Didn't send me that one though, lads.
Well, I've got a little package on the way from them as well, so maybe they send it to me instead. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
But yeah, so a shout out to them because it's nice to get stuff, isn't it? Yeah. So if people want to send us stuff, we're happy to say thanks for that. It's good. If it's good. And this is good. Okay, I'll stop waffling and get into the footy then. So, you might have noticed from the title, Moyes Madness and the Liverpool Conspiracy, that I'm obviously going to have a bit of a go at Everton because, yeah, we won 2-1. We deserve to win as far as I'm concerned. And yet, they've turned it into a thing. Their manager has turned it into a thing. Jack Grealish has turned it into a thing. And lots of their fans are turning it into a thing. We just won. I mean, and I'm sure you know that we triumphed in the derby, and I'm aiming for this show to be an hour, but maybe I should just do 3 minutes extra for the needle. I don't know.
Because we need to get a little bored the show.
Do you know what I mean? Just some of it, I'm just like, come on, lads, just turn it in. Do you know what I mean? So, in case you didn't know, we did win 2-1, as I say. It was the 101st time in 247 games between Liverpool and Everton that Red has triumphed over Blue. Everton have won 68 of those 247 games, and only 25 of those wins have been at Anfield. The last of those triumphs was, of course, behind closed doors in 2021, and that was their first win in front of the Kop, albeit an empty one, since 1999, when the late, great Kevin Campbell scored the only goal, and Sander Westerveld, Franny Jeffers and Steven Gerrard were all sent off. Now, what I thought was interesting is I'm emphasising that they don't come to Anfield and win very much. So it's no shock, really, if that happens in this game, especially when we're champions. So why do we turn it into a thing? Why the conspiracy bollocks? Only 6 times in my life have Everton come to Anfield in any competition and won. 1984, 1986, 1987, 1995. Something else happened that year.
Can't remember.
1999 and 2021. Facts, as Rafa once said. Now, another fact is that David Moyes, not just as Everton manager, as a football manager, has come to Anfield 23 times, brought teams to Anfield 23 times, and he's never won there. Drawn 7, lost 16 at Anfield. So why, David, I ask, do you need to bang on about before the game about officials, before the game about decisions, and after the game about officials, and after the game about decisions, when there was fuck all contentious in the whole game as far as I was concerned? Dewsbury Hall got a yellow card. Oh, I know, I was there. I also saw the referee the first time that they tried to take a free kick. Quick. Yeah, don't do it when I'm talking to someone. You could see him say, I haven't indicated because I'm going to have a word here, and he did it again. So he'd precursored it. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And again, something that Phil Blundell brought up was the fact that they were calling it a quick free kick. Now, a quick free kick is where you tap and go within maybe 5-10 seconds of the ref blowing up for a foul. A quick free kick doesn't involve sending the centre halves from the back all the way up to the front, because let's face it, that's not quick anymore, is it? That's not kind of trying to catch a team on the hop. What you said is exactly right. There's a difference between trying to take a quick free kick and just doing it before the referee has said he's ready. And if you're going to do it twice, you're going to get in the book. Now, the only thing of all of the things that they moaned about that I think that they have a little bit of a point of is the fact that Bradley did make a lot of fouls on Grealish without getting a yellow card. If it had been a Goodison, he'd have maybe done 2 at max without getting a yellow card. Like, fair enough. That's home advantage. It happens sometimes.
Well, yeah, I've got a thing on that, though. Just on that. And I was going to get into this with some of them over the weekend who, started replying to me tweets and all that, like, was happened. And then I went out instead and watched the real people. But genuinely, right, if we're talking about the referee or the officials collectively, their performance on the day, sounds okay. I get it if there's some aspects of the game that you had some grievance with. Guess what? Same.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck does Mo Salah have to do to get a foul? Like, literally.
And we say that every week.
And I know, but in this game, because I'm maybe watching it a bit more closely because it's them and it's a thing and it's the derby and I'm desperate to see us win it. There's arms coming over him like that and pulling him back, and that's not a foul. I'm sorry, like that's not just like physical contact. No. That's not like shoulder to shoulder. That's not a bit of a push or it's a physical game. That's wrestling, lads. Yeah. And last time I checked,
a different sport.
Last time I checked, wrestling isn't allowed in Premier League football. So if they're aggrieved about small aspects of the game that to me didn't have any bearing on the fucking result, then I've got grievances as well. And by the way, that fella is the tool from the Spurs game. Yes. No, you let it go.
You know, it's funny because I looked at the agenda and I was just like, does he remember? Has he forgotten? Is he going to be? No. Silly me. Now, in answer to your question as to why did David Moyes feel like he had to mention all this before the game and after the game, it's exactly because of what that record you just read out. He's never won here. He hates coming to Anfield. Like, I've spoken a few times on the show about how David Moyes is a little bit more fun on this time to come back. He's a little bit more. Yeah. He's a little bit more relaxed. He's a little bit more, like cool uncle. But he has reverted back to type whenever he comes within the radius of Anfield. If there was somewhere that you hated going that much because it was always you always had a horrible time. Like, for example, maybe it's like one of your aunties who made horrible dinners, or like your uncle always used to make fun of you or something like that. And you just hated going there. And it's just like, I know I've got to go there, but I really don't want to go there. And you're just basically in a mud the whole time and you sulk and you're just about to get through it. And that's how it feels like David Moyes when it comes to Anfield. He's just like, there is nothing that he can do to make himself feel better about it. So he's just going to have to try and endure it. And look, I wouldn't call myself impartial, obviously, because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm able to kind of detach myself and look at it from a football point of view. And from a football point of view, in the second half in particular, they played better football than I've seen Everton play at Anfield in a long time. Yeah. And so there are lots of things where he, today on the training ground, he'd be like, you know what, lads, that part was good. But
that's the bit he should have talked about.
That's what
That's what I don't get about. And look, at like one blue who come back to me said something like, well, he's asked the question or whatever. But you don't have to answer. You don't have to go there. You don't have to go there before and after. And he went there both times. And it's also like, listen, you can just say. I mean, like, I get that he would drop the stuff in, which he did drop in about sort of, the cost of players that Liverpool recruit compared to what they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. That's true. And it is weighted against them in that respect. But when it comes, the official stuff is just a bit, oh, come on. Because that just to me is like playing to the gallery. And like, just be a bit bigger and a bit better and just say, do you know what? We've come to Anfield and played well. We've come to Anfield and had a go. And like, I mean, even on that, I would start to question you. But, yeah, Grealish caused us some problems. They scored a good goal. Yeah. They had a couple of other little bits, like moments. But, like the idea that it's floated around the whole of their fan base, that there's somehow hard done to, well, shall we do that? Because the second half, when, this only 3 minutes thing, well, why were we up against it? Were they all over us? Were they going to score that sometime soon? Because in the second half, Everton's expected goals is 0.17. And then what expected goals don't show you is that your strikers are also shit. So, that unexpected goal shows you, that it's a good chance. So you didn't have any good chances in the second half. You didn't have a statistical big chance in the second half. And then you've got lads up front who aren't very good on top of that. So what's the bit? Where's the injustice? You just got beat.
There is no injustice. I think what it is that they felt like they had a chance and it got taken away. And that's where, obviously there's lots of places where anger could come from, let's face it. But I think that's particularly what's kind of hurt them is that, because in that second half, it was weird. There was no kind of like big chances that we were thinking, goals coming for Everton. But what did happen is Liverpool started playing like they felt like Everton were going to score.
Yeah, there was a bit of that.
There was a lot of Liverpool giving Everton encouragement and Everton growing in confidence and in belief. And it was just a bit like, come on, do we have to do this again? And it felt not a million miles away from what we saw against Atletico, where once they got that goal just before half time, they came out in the second half, and Liverpool felt like they were trying too hard to get the third goal, and then they became sloppy, and then Atletico were getting more confidence, and then they did score. So in the minds of maybe the players and some of the fans, you can think, oh God, can we not do this again? Not against these lot. So there was a kind of a change in the mood.
I thought that happened before the second half. I thought they started to shut it down towards the end of the first. I thought these you could see them saying to each other, slow it down.
Yeah.
And 100%, I think it was like, rather than go for it when they were clearly on top and causing Everton problems, and the manager hasn't had the half-time team talk to reset, I think we took it. Do you know what I mean? I think we went, we'll just get in at half-time, 2-0, and that's sound. And they were telling each other to slow down. They were telling each other to take the time. And with hindsight, you could probably look at that and say, you should have gone for the jugular a little bit more when you were on top. But look, the job's done. And just to add, if you've somehow missed it, and I keep saying Moyes before the game, not just after. So in his pre-match press conference, he was talking about, we played them last year at Anfield and lost to an offside goal. Now, Tarkowski plays the ball and Diaz is in an offside position behind him, deemed to not be interfering with play, therefore not offside. And the goal scorer, Diogo Jota, was not offside. So why are we going on about this? That's the first thing. He then went on to say, we want to try and run them close again, and maybe this time things will go in our favour. Now, this was the bit that I had a bit of a beef with, because let's remember that derby last year for a moment, and let's remember Tarkowski's tackle on McAllister, which is ankle height, 2 feet off the floor, and he got a yellow card for it. And it's like, pretty sure you're out of control there. Pretty sure that should be a red. Now, I put that tweet up saying exactly pretty much what I've just said. And I had loads of blues going on about Gerrard. Gerrard hasn't played for us for 10 years, lads. And last time I checked, they've started to dial things down a little bit in terms of these things. So what Gerrard maybe did and didn't get away with once upon a time, he definitely wouldn't now. And so I'm talking about literally the last derby at Anfield and what Moyes on about, and they're sending me all these pictures, and I'm like, I don't get your point, lads. What's your point?
Are they going to go back to Billy Little to back away? It's like, goalkeeper was able to throw his hat on the ball back in those days. I don't think it's quite the same. But look, everybody, when it comes to derbies, look at things through their own perspective. I acknowledge that. We do it, they do it, it's fine. But there are times when you do it so much or so badly, it's hard to take anything you say seriously. And when you have an incident like that, that's clearly something that they got away with, you can't really then talk about being hard done by. And even, and I'm sure we're going to talk about the 3 minutes mentioned and the how that's not enough injury time, and how Liverpool get the rub of the green, and
how much did they get at Goodison when they won 2-2?
Exactly. The board said 5 minutes,
and they got at least 7.
They scored in the 98th minute.
Yeah,
and so I really, really wouldn't be wanting to look too deeply into all of that stuff. And this is the thing that I wanted to kind of come into, because it's all well and good saying, you got lucky there, you got lucky there. But when people start going on about corruption and about how the PGMOL are favouring this team and that team, it's like, you just sound stupid.
It is weird, isn't it?
It just sounds
like
stupid.
This red cartel and all that. Like there was one tweet I got, and it said something like, they don't want another Leicester win in the Premier League. And I was like, who are they, mate? Yeah. Like, seriously. It's like when, there's some room deciding, like that Liverpool or whoever should win the league this season. It's not there, lads.
No.
And loads of the refs are shit. Loads of the officiating's crap. We've been on the end of it as well, which is why I'm still saying, no, you let it go. And it's like, it's happened to us as well, lads. It happens in football. I've got a couple of people to just say thanks to, because we do always say thanks when people very kindly are throwing in on the super chats. So Sean Moore, £9.99. Thank you, Sean. He says, yes, lads, love the pod. I recognised Mo in town, and when we were linked to Zubimendi, I asked him if he thought we'd defo sign him. He said, I hope so, or I've wasted a fucking hour.
I remember actually. Yeah, no, I do lots of deep dives on Zubimendi and about where he'd fit in and all that gear. And
then he said, up the Reds, get the crisps in. We do have some crisps. I don't know whether we're doing them today or not. We haven't really decided, but some are there. So yeah, we if you like the crisp section, there may well be a bit of crisp before we get into the heavy stuff on the Patreon. And Fang6969 has thrown £2 in, and he knows what he's doing here. He knows what he's appealing to here. He says, you can be the Sergeant Major if you really want to. Yes, now Shaq and Mickhead, you know what you're doing there. If you're not onto Shaq and Mickhead and you like music, what are you doing? Get involved. That's made me happy, just that reference though. I like that, mate.
Someone had an HMS Fable shirt on in the Jack on Friday, and I thought,
nice. There's a Liverpool, I think it's a John Macken production. There's a Liverpool HMS Fable flag. Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, where are we up to then on the thing? Yeah, and the overall stats, I'll just do them because they're also facts, aren't they? So it was 57% possession for Liverpool, 43% for Everton. Our expected goals not great either, 0.9 to 0.7 of Everton's across the course of the 90 minutes. But as I said earlier, these things don't reflect quality, and both of our goals were that. We had one big chance in the game. We had 11 shots to their 9. Both goalkeepers made only one save. We had 5 corners, they had 4. 475 passes. We're getting into stuff that doesn't really matter. 18 tackles each, 10 free kicks for Liverpool, 11 for Everton. So they got more free kicks than we did. Yeah.
But look, we played good, really good in the first half, less good in the second half. But at our best, were much better than anything that they could handle, and they never got close to
the Gravenberch goal is fucking brilliant. The Gravenberch goal is absolutely brilliant. That touch and the finish, and the fact that he starts the move and ends the move. You know, everything about it's absolute class. Like, he is on top of his game. He's still only, 23 years old. He's unbelievable. Everyone now has started talking about him, but I mean, we knew it anyway. He was brilliant last season. You know, he plays in every game in the league apart from when it's done against Chelsea. He's absolutely superb. I think Premier League Young Player of the Year and that kind of stuff. How we got him for 30 odd million quid and Bayern didn't fancy giving him a go when he was there.
Two words: Thomas Tuchel. That's how. He wanted João Palhinha instead. Didn't think that he could play in the position. And it's funny because I say that taking the piss, and the song that I made up about Ryan Gravenberch references that as well. But it does really kind of hit home about talent spotting, and when the difference between managers when what they see in the same players, and how some managers can get a tune out of some players and some don't. Because obviously Klopp knew he could be a brilliant footballer. They knew that he could be as good as he is going to be, but he wasn't necessarily playing him in the position or in the system that
at all.
Yeah, or at all, because it kind of was a bit like, he's not quite there.
He wasn't sure, was he? I think once you got him on board, he wasn't sure what he was, and a lot of us weren't.
And I just think that the little bits that Slot has changed has just kind of opened it up for him, because obviously you mentioned Zubimendi. Like, if Zubimendi had signed, would Slot have still said, well, I want you to play deeper, or would he?
And where would it have worked?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it's like, you know, he did definitely want Zubimendi, obviously. He's gone to Arsenal. Arsenal are still doing what they're doing, which is not looking like winning a league title. And us, meanwhile, we're getting results. We're 5 out of 5 in the league. We're 1 out of 1 in the Champions League. And Gravenberch is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I think Rooney said something like he was the best player in the league at the moment, or something like that, didn't he? I quite like Rooney, I've got to say. I've said this before.
Did you see what he said about...
the collie and stuff?
Yes!
Was absolutely brilliant. Did you see a tweet?
Yeah, the flag.
Oh. I mean, that's just absolutely superb, isn't it? So, But I think he's decent as a pundit. I quite like him. And you know, we've shook off, you know, what he once did and who he once played for, or I have. What else did we want to talk about? I mean, yeah, just on Gravenberch then, 37 out of 38 in the league last season, as I mentioned. Premier League Young Player of the Season, in the PFA Team of the Year as well. He's the youngest Liverpool player in the Premier League era to both score and assist in the same Merseyside Derby. And after going 16 months without a Premier League goal, Gravenberch now boasts 2 in 4 matches. He made the most line-breaking passes in the game, 10. With 4 of those coming in the final third. Most of his touches were in his own half. He won 7 of his 11 duels, made 5 tackles, and completed 47 of his 56 passes. And he said after the game, "This season I want more goals and assists. It's the coach that gives me the confidence. Last season I was only the number 6, like deep. Now I can go more forward, which you saw today. My strength is also there, and I'm happy with that." So will we, mate?
Yeah, I love it. So 2 things I really love about that. Number 1, the fact that he was thinking, I need to score more goals. Because that's something I've been saying quite a few times. It's like, I love him. But I mean, I think of comparing to like Rodri, Declan Rice, the other guys who like play in that position, they score goals. So you think you can do that and actually become a goal scoring threat. And he's like, well, I've got that in my lock. I can do that. And now he's doing it. But also, it's almost like last year was his like education as being a defensive midfielder. So like, while you're learning the trade, just stay here for a bit. Just do the defensive stuff. Now you've learned it, you've got a little bit more freedom to go out and spread your wings a little bit. And yeah, where he can get to is absolutely frightening.
I know. He's become the outball as well, hasn't he? I mean, I think we always used to say it was always Mo, wasn't it? It was always Virgil out to Mo. Mo would use his strength, bring someone else in. At the minute, because of the form Gravenberch's in and because of that thing he does, which everyone says the same thing because you can't quite describe it, but that thing he does where he just gets past people and you're not quite sure how or why, but it always works. They're just giving it to him all the time, and he's hardly wasting the ball, as I've just said. 84% of his passes found on the target. But then, you know, he talked obviously there about, you know, he's allowed to sort of push on a little bit, especially when McAllister's around and he can sort of fill in behind. And it's just one of them things, isn't it? I mean, it feels like lots of people have spent lots of time saying, where do all these players fit? How does it work? And another one where that's happening and still happening is Ekitike. And he's another one where I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
He was so good.
You know, it was like these games, you know, we know that even with the rules and the way football's managed and referees these days, it's never going to be quite, you know, Peter Reid and Steve McMahon. But equally, they will have all the chestnuts in there, you know, the blood and thunder and all that kind of stuff. And I think we saw why Wirtz didn't start the game. There was a big shithouse moment there when he came on.
Hasn't gone unnoticed.
Yeah, and I did think, oh, lad, there's so many people in this ground that don't want to see you do that, mate. Look, I'm sure he'll be fine. I think we just say he's maybe, at this point, not a Merseyside Derby type of player.
It's funny because I tried to look...
Ekitike cares, though.
Yeah. I in terms of Wirtz, I tried to look back at some of the old games he played for Leverkusen, and was there any, like, did he have that kind of physical, did he have that bit of gnarliness about him? I couldn't really see that much the evidence. There was no times where he'd had a bit of a fight. There was that thing when he played for Germany in the summer where he went in on Bruno Fernandes, but I think that's a little bit different. I've not really seen him in that kind of fiery atmosphere.
I pictured, you know, I was trying to think about what it must look like at Kirby and how do you work with them? Because we all know this thing about, you know, for some players at least, because Ekitike just looks like he's been playing in the Premier League forever.
Yeah.
But, you know, for some players anyway, there is like this period of transition from like Bundesliga to Premier League or whatever it might be. And I was thinking, you know, you're never going to get the manager coming out throwing them under the bus.
No.
Because they don't do that. And, they're a bit politician with their answers at times, including our own manager. But I thought, you know, behind closed doors at Kirby, I wondered have you ever seen, like, you know, rugby league training? And you know that thing they do where, like, you basically hold a pad or a thing, and like you just fucking run at it and jump into it.
I used to love doing that in rugby training.
I was thinking, do you reckon they'll get Wirtz doing that? Do you know what I mean? Like, lads, you know, you're going to have to do a bit of this.
Well, the thing is, right, I remember we were talking about Cody Gakpo not really using his physical attributes when he first came, didn't we? And I remember saying that he needs to do different kind of training to how like really utilize his body and show, because he was a strong boy, but he wasn't really acting like it. And then something clicked. I don't know what it was that he did or who he spoke to, but it did click, and now he's able to do it. So I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that the same thing happens with Wirtz. But it's funny because when I saw him initially not in the team, I was a bit like, okay, lots of people are going to make lots of noise about this. But my first thought was that McAllister tackle that you mentioned earlier. I was just like, the last thing Slot wants is one of those.
Exactly, yeah.
And maybe that was what communicated to him. And then maybe when he comes on the pitch, he's thinking about stuff like that in a way it shouldn't be. Whereas with Hugo, like, he looks like he's having so much fun on the pitch, off the pitch. Like, every time he comes off the pitch, you see him kind of like orchestrating the fans singing the song and like giving it a little boogie.
Have you seen the little video? I think it's with like it's not with one of our broadcasters, but you know, like you still end up seeing it, don't you, on social media, etc. Have you seen the stuff where he's like, they ask him, does he like other players and other players from other teams? He's just like, no. And it's like, well, you know, is there anyone you're impressed by? And he's like, Mo Salah, I train with him every day.
Yeah.
And he's like, anyone else? No. And he's
that.
like, what? He's like, what about you know, anyone tough that you've played against, you, defender wise? No. It's boss.
It's like, have you seen how many goals I've scored?
It's absolutely boss, because it's like, you know, yeah, he's got 3 in the Premier League, scored in the Charity Shield as well, hasn't he? And it's like, he's just hit the ground running, and all this thing about, well, where's he going to fit in? How's he going to work? What about when Isak comes and all that? And he's just gone like, yeah, I didn't want to go to Newcastle. I wanted to come here. It felt right. I think I made the right decision, didn't I? And like, he's got a pure, he's got a bit of attitude about him. Like,
I love that. Honestly, like, the problem that everyone assumes is going to be his isn't his. The problem is going to be for Isak if it comes to it, because if he keeps playing like this, he's going to keep playing. And maybe Slot's thinking, perfect, it means that I get the full opportunity to take as long as I need to get Isak back up to full fitness. I haven't got to worry about any of that. How am I going to give him his minutes? How am I going to build him up slowly or whatever? He can take as long as he needs, because we've got a guy up there who's doing the business straight away. And he just feels you know how some players feel like they suit the club immediately, and some you feel like struggle with it. And again, I don't want to go in too much on it because we did it all when he was here, but you know
Stuart Downing.
Yes, Stuart Downing. Yeah. So when Stuart Downing,
man who cupped his ear to his own fans.
So when Stuart Downing was playing up front for Liverpool last season, it didn't look like it really suited him at all times. He just felt like he struggled with the task of being a Liverpool player. Hugo's like, bring it on.
Yeah.
I love that.
He's got the swagger, hasn't he? I like it. Matt Stanley says, nice to see Mo developing his winter plumage.
Yeah, no, this is very much like something that happens at this time of year. Like, I need a bit of extra insulation. So yeah, I'm glad it's being appreciated. It's not normally as wild as it is, but I will shave a little bit, I reckon, for next week.
What else? Oh yeah, and look, you know, there might be people who've watched this. There might be some blue noses on who just want to see what I'm saying, because there have been some over the years that you know, there was a fella once. Have I told you about him? A fella once who went through every Anfield Rap show I was ever on and clipped everything I ever said about Everton.
Wow.
And then sent me all of these clips on Twitter and said I was obsessed. I was like, mate, do I have to point this out?
Yeah. Honestly, like, tell me how long that took you. Because I'm telling you, it probably took you more than a day.
And also, I always thought, like, isn't the clue in the name the Anfield Rap? But anyway, should there be any blues on, and you know, there's the sort of like, you know, here's that knobhead again, and he's just fucking having a go at us and all that. I'm not doing this for some kind of effect. This is what I thought when I was in the ground, and I thought, right, I'll say this on Monday because fair fucks. Yeah. So fair fucks. You know, there was a period of applause for Bobby Graham and Joey Jones. It was great to see the Joey Jones flag in the Kop. Fair play to the club for helping to sort that out and make that happen. And look, you know, I do think at times there are people on both sides of the fence, blue and red, who are quick to point out problems with the other side. And, you did this, you did that, you said this, you acted like this, blah, 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 blah. So I looked at the away end when all of that was happening, and loads of them, majority of them, were clapping and getting involved. And I thought, fair play, lads. Do you know what I mean? And then also, there was, what was the other thing I was going to say that they did? And I haven't actually put it in.
Some of them were clapping on 20 as well.
That was what I was going to say. Yeah, I looked over on 20 when we were doing the stuff for Jota, and you could see some of them out, applauding for that as well. So again, fair play. And look, there's just always a problem, isn't there, on these things where you want to say that bunch of people are not bad, or that bunch of people are. Look, my thing has always been on that. What all of them. And we all do it at different times, and it's wrong, and we know it's wrong, and we should know more than anyone else that it's wrong. Bear in mind how our city and our people have been tarred over the years by various people. So don't do it the other way.
No.
And so I just wanted to get that in there about they were pretty sound, and also as well, if we go back to the top and what I was talking about and all of those stats, it must fucking do your head in. Do you know what I mean? It must do your head in. Like, I mean, our mate who's a blue who hangs around with us and we're all reds, still came out on Saturday night for the Real People gig. And he was all right, and he was sound, and he was like, it is what, he didn't even watch it.
Really?
Genuinely, he'd said before, and he wasn't going to, he said, for my own mental health, I'm not going to watch it, because he said, I just can't be arsed with another last minute winner and all that kind of stuff. And then his missus has previously put up footage of him on Instagram of him watching an Everton game at home, and it was good, you know what I mean? Like, out of his seat and all that. She was like, she put something up and said, hey, you can tell it's the derby, can't you? And he was going around like dusting in the kitchen. And I think just sort of like keeping an eye on his phone. But he was in on the 3 minutes thing. That got mentioned. And it was like, well, when's it ever been 3 minutes before? And there was some tweet, wasn't there? I don't know if you've all seen that one. Some tweet where it was like, there's never been, 3 minutes in a Premier League game before. And then someone was like, yeah, Tottenham and
this one and this one and this one and this one. And this is the thing. It's like it all becomes very much like short-termisms. Like, you've never seen anything like this before. It's like, no, we have. We've all been watching football long enough. Football's happened that many times that every single potential eventuality you can ever think of has happened. And nothing is a conspiracy. Nothing is manufactured. It's just, that's how football is again and again and again and again. I want to give a shout out to my own little viral tweet. I mentioned quite innocently, genuinely, in the aftermath of the Arsenal-Man City game, that only one team out of the 6 teams in Champions League action in midweek won at the weekend. Lots of people seemed to jump on that, both good and bad. And yeah, I think it's got over 2 million views last time I looked. And a lot of people pointing out to me, oh, well, Liverpool had it easy because they were at home, blah, 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 blah. I'd like to remind those people that Liverpool played 3 games in 7 days. The final one of which was at 12:30 on the Saturday. So Arne Slot literally had to change the time of the press conference to give people more time to recover from the Atletico game. And Liverpool had, I believe, 5 players who started all 3 games. So there was a reason why they looked a little bit leggy, a little bit tired coming in the second half.
And the Grav played 90, or 3 90s, yeah.
And guess what? They still won the game. So, there are times when you just got to hold your hands up and say, you know what? These guys are pretty good.
Yeah, some people point out it was 6 days, 3 days into 3 games to 6. So yeah, and another one tomorrow. So we're straight back to it. It's the League Cup tomorrow. So a little bit of a natter about that. I mean, what are your thoughts? It is obviously, goes without saying, the lowest priority. And I always feel kind of sad and a little bit entitled when you say that, but equally it's true.
It is true.
You can't get away from the fact it is Liverpool's lowest priority. The manager's already said that Van Dijk, Canate, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai and Mo Salah won't play. How you feeling about it? What you think about it?
Well, I mean,
etc.
first of all, the fact that he said that half of the team aren't going to be there is very, very telling, because for start, he never does that. He was very keen not to give anyone any hints as to whether Isak would play in the derby, in the post-match press conference against Atletico, or the pre-match one for Everton. He was very guarded. But then, when it comes to this competition, it's like, no, none of these boys are going to be playing. Don't worry. He wasn't worried about giving Southampton any kind of advantage. And yeah, you can say, well, Southampton are a team from the Championship, so it shouldn't matter that any advantage they get. But I do think, if you ask Arne Slot, would you be happier if Liverpool were in the next round or out of this competition? I think it's a coin flip. And the only reason I say it's a coin flip is because a lot of the lads who are going to be playing tomorrow night, Leone, Gomez, Endo, Robertson, Mamadashvili,
Chiesa.
Yeah, Chiesa is a really good example.
Isak.
So I reckon it will be Rio, Isak, Chiesa front three. I think Wirtz will play. I think Endo will play. Then you've got either Jones or maybe Trainioni will come on at some point. And then, like I said, the back four. A lot of those guys need games.
Yeah.
Because they haven't played it all yet. So
it'll be quite exciting to see some of them as well.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing Leone.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, he's the one I'm looking forward to seeing the most, because I'm fascinated by this kid. Like, I've seen him around the training ground a few times, and like in the mixed zones and stuff like that. And like, he just looks so cool. Like, you know how everyone says Virgil's just like one of the coolest men and stuff like that. And he is. He still is. Leone has that in him as well. He's just like, he's moving at his own pace. It's just, everything's nice and easy. He's just got an easy smile. I genuinely think that he could be someone who comes in, hits the ground running. But you never know. You honestly never know. Southampton, they'd be like, okay, well, they've got a teenager who's never played in English football before. Well, let's see what he can do. Let's target him. I actually don't know off the top of my head if Paul Anuachu was playing. You remember the massive striker that they had from the games in the Premier League?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still at the club. But if he is, I wouldn't be surprised if they throw him in there to say, okay, then let's see what you can do. But I think it'll be a really fun evening for everyone who gets to go. It's another one of those situations where I think there's going to be lots of people who don't get to go to Anfield all the time coming.
Yeah, definitely.
Particularly after, say, we've
it's
had
on the telly as well.
It's on the telly. We've had 2 home games already this week, so there's going to be some people who are like, generally can't afford to do all 3. So there'll be a bit more anticipation, a little bit more excitement, maybe from some of the new people who are in the ground, and yeah, I am really looking forward to it.
No VAR.
No VAR. I always forgot about that. Yeah, bring back
straight to pens after 90 minutes if we get there as well. If it gets there, I mean, Southampton haven't started the season particularly well. No,
I think the only games they've won are in the League Cup. They beat Norwich in the last round, and yeah, I think they've lost. I think drawn 2 and lost 3 of the last 6 games, if my mind reminds me. But could you imagine, after beating everyone else, that this is the first game Liverpool loses this season?
I don't want to now, though, as well. I mean, this is the thing about sort of saying it doesn't matter, it's not that important, blah, 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 blah. Like, I just always want us to win it. Like, I always do. And I always think, like, when I said before about, like, entitlement almost around saying, it's not that important type of thing. Like, anyone who gets to go to Wembley and watch Liverpool win a trophy, there's no bad time doing that. Do you know what I mean? And like, when Virgil bailed us out and we won it, like, how brilliant was that? That was the first time my lad had been to a cup final. Yeah. And so, I'm quite sure he'll always remember that type of thing. Do you know what I mean? And so it is important, and it is, yes, there's not the prize money, there's not the prestige and all that, but it's still a trophy, it's still a competition, and it's a chance, as you say, for all the lads that are in and around the periphery to get in there and show they should be playing. Like, like Robbo or Gomez will probably be the captain, won't he? Robbo, I would have thought. And Chiesa, clearly not happy that he was left out of the Champions League squad. Show us that it was wrong then. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, plenty riding on it, plenty to take your interest. Another thing that I just wanted to mention as well, something that's currently dealing with the day job, if you like, for Spirits of Shankly. is supporters from Liverpool going to Galatasaray. There's still, I would say, pressure being applied, shall we say, from Spirit of Shankly. I think as well that pressure goes from the club onto whatever power they've got in terms of speaking to Galatasaray, Turkish police, all of that kind of stuff. But as things stand, there's some quite not great conditions being generated here. So Liverpool fans have to travel to the ground on these set coaches. They have to be in the ground potentially up to 4 hours before kickoff, potentially 90 minutes at least afterwards, then a 90-minute journey back into Istanbul. Then there will be no public transport at that point, so they're then forced to get a taxi, and often that taxi is overpriced. And you know what I mean? And the whole thing has got a bit of a feel of a racket around it.
Yeah.
And it goes on, and it's not just Liverpool fans that it happens to, it's any set of away fans going to Istanbul, it seems. Liverpool can do what they do, Spirit of Shankly can do what they do. It kind of feels like this has to ramp up a little bit now, because this is not acceptable. And after what happened in Paris, we were supposed to see change in how supporters going into Europe were treated and policed and all the rest of it. And this is just something that is just clearly taking the piss. And I think supporters groups generally should be coming together and doing something about this. I think it's possibly something now, it's getting to the stage where maybe MPs should start.
I was going to say, is this something where you want the club to put pressure on UEFA, or do you want like you say, British MPs to talk to their Turkish counterparts?
Yeah, UEFA showing that some kind of set of balls at some point would be nice, do you know what I mean? Instead of just fucking making sure that everything's all right for people wearing suits. It's just not great. It's just not great at all. And, the idea that, I know that there are still negotiations going on around this, but as things stand, they're saying like you can't take a power bank into the ground and things like this. And it's like, well, how do you expect people to be on coaches in a football ground for all of that time? And you're talking about digital tickets to get in. You're talking about being, you're abroad, and so you want access to family and friends if anything goes wrong. Yeah. So all in all, it's just ridiculous, and it's a ridiculous way to treat human beings in 2025, frankly. And, if you read through the conditions, or, what is being laid out currently from Liverpool, this is obviously what has been fed back to them. And like I say, they only have so much influence, and then some of it's down to Galatasaray, some of it's down to UEFA, some of it's down to Turkish police. There's more than one stakeholder involved here. But the idea that, some of these coaches won't have bogs and things like that, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like a basic human right that you should be able to go to the bog, for fuck's sake. And it's just like, it's just not on.
I think it all comes down to the time, doesn't it? So all of these other issues would be solved if they didn't want them in the ground 4 hours beforehand. So the stuff with the power banks and the charging, the stuff with being able to use amenities, all that kind of stuff, if they weren't necessarily having to be in the ground 4 hours beforehand, none of that would be a problem. So if you're Galatasaray, you need to prove exactly why them being in the ground that mile beforehand is so important to you. And if it's that important to you, then you will make other kinds of concessions to allow the logistics to work. So you will allow people to bring in power banks. You will provide people with opportunities to go to the toilet, to have a coach that has a decent toilet on it, to be able to have a buy
food. Enough coaches as well. I mean, like, if you do the maths, it looks like some people will have to stand up.
Yeah,
and it's like, come on. What is this about? Why are you being allowed by all parties to treat football fans this way? It's just mad. And it goes back to what I said before as well about the sort of the tarnishing of a group, the tarring of a brush. It's like, what some football fans sometimes, some place acted up, or, we've got these fans that act like police them then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not police everyone who goes to a football match. Plenty who are perfectly normal, law-abiding people who just want to follow the team. It's absolutely shite.
You shouldn't be able to blame everybody for something that happens to certain small amounts of people. And something Arne Slot keeps saying in his press conferences, like, about how football fans in England are different in comparison to Holland. So, like, he was talking about how cool it is that when Liverpool went up to Newcastle, like there was, when the bus came through, they saw obviously loads of Newcastle shirts, but then there was like a spattering of Liverpool shirts in amongst them, as like cheering as the bus came by. And he was like, well, in Holland, when it's a big game like that, there's no away fans. Like PSV Ajax or Feyenoord Ajax, there's no away fans at all. Whereas here, there is rivalry, but there's also respect. And like, it goes back to what you were saying before about the Evertonians in the ground and the way that they treated the respect of Joey and Bobby and Diogo. And I think that we can almost sometimes forget how lucky we are in terms of what we have, the rules that we have to we get to deal with in comparison to somewhere else. But those other places need to recognise the difference. They're not dealing with what they always have to deal with. This is different. There are different people who are coming to your country to watch a football match, who maybe, who knows, if they enjoy their time there, want to come back to your country and have a holiday and maybe spend a bit of money there. Like, if you're being, having your basic human rights taken away just to come and watch 2 hours of football, then you're probably not going to want to go there ever again. And you're going to tell people you don't want to go there ever again.
And this is the thing as well, like people are going there, A, as football fans, but B, as visitors to that country and to that city. And so, the likelihood is that they want to have a look at it.
Yeah.
And instead, you're taking away all this time by saying they've got to sit off in a football stadium 3 and 4 hours before and then stay there for all this time afterwards and all this. And it just feels like ridiculously over the top. Like there's managing risk and then there's just being a bit of a prick about how you're treating people here. And it's like, like I say, the Foreign Office, MPs, whatever it might be, need to be lobbying here for change because, it just keeps reoccurring. Tottenham are being out there, I think, Man United are being out there. They report the same type of treatment back. And it's like, so what, do we all just keep shrugging our shoulders and saying, oh, this is how it is and we don't want to upset them? Or do we absolutely call it out? Does a club say, do you know what, we're not taking the allocation? Yeah. Fuck off, if that's how you're going to treat our fans. Because, like I say, it just feels like it's like Groundhog Day. Like, you go there, this is how you're treated. And like, there's all these things about, you've got to get on this coach to go there. You've got to get on this coach to come back. You will not be allowed in if you don't arrive on the coach and all this kind of stuff. People have been out to Istanbul before following Liverpool and no coaches turned up.
No. And I mean, let's kind of contrast that with how we treat them when they come here. So like, how we were talking on the last week's show about how much we enjoy having when foreign fans come over to Liverpool and how they do things differently and how vibrant it is in the city when you get that. We got that with the Atletico fans. I remember on Wednesday morning, just walking around and seeing loads of people in the red and white shirts. And I was actually travelling on the bus to the ground around about, I want to say 90 minutes before kickoff. And you could see they were being walked through the Anfield by police, but they were having a great time. And they were walking, and as I say, it was like a 90 minutes before kickoff. So they had plenty of time to enjoy the sights and sounds of Liverpool beforehand. And we want people to come and have a good time apart from when they're watching the football, because we want them to be upset that Liverpool are winning. Whereas it doesn't seem that idea is shared throughout the rest of the football community. And it's really sad. Like, going to a European football, going to European aways is one of the best things you can do as a fan. And it should always feel that way. It should never feel like a drag. And at the moment, it's easy for it to feel like a drag.
Yeah. Well, we've got Southampton anyway, as I say, League Cup tomorrow night at Anfield. So enjoy that one if you're going to that. We've got Palace at the weekend. How are we feeling about that one?
Last 2 unbeaten teams in the Premier League. In a way, there's a part of me is just like, oh God, them again already. But also with the whole Mark Gahey business, it becomes a little bit more interesting. I wonder whether or not the Palace fans are going to make a big deal out of him. Maybe get some banners of him going or something like that to kind of remind us all that he's still theirs and not ours.
We're into Wharton as well now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Another good player. Palace have got some good players. Palace are a good team. And there's a reason why they're unbeaten. I don't know if anyone saw the absolute dismantling they put on Aston Villa, but
it's like 17 unbeaten. No, I think they are.
Yeah. Long spell.
Yeah.
And going to be, I mean,
that obviously includes the FA Cup final and the Charity Shield.
Yeah. It was a tough game last season, 1-0. We needed Yaros to come in and save us in the last 15 minutes. It'll be a tough game again this season, possibly even the toughest we've had so far, even including Arsenal at home. So if we can get the business done there, I'll be very, very pleased. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the winning league run comes to an end, put it that way.
For us or them?
For us? I'm saying that I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw.
Oh, I thought you were saying we were going to get beat.
No.
What is this negativity?
And anyway, there's the difference between saying I wouldn't be surprised if something happens and I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. There's a difference. But yeah, I think Palace are good enough to stop us winning. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely fair. I mean, I heard something over the weekend from... Who was it who was saying it? I don't know. But a journalist said that he heard Palace players talking in the tunnel, and one of them was basically saying to, they have these cosy chats that we all don't really like with players on the other side and all that kind of, and he said he overheard one of them saying about this 16 match as it was then, unbeaten run. He said we're just horrible to play against. Yeah. That's the thing. We're horrible to play against, and that was them admitting that. You know what I mean?
It's a badge of honour, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So they are horrible to play against. Good ground though, good set of supporters, and hopefully it will be a place that Liverpool can go and win and keep it all going. Going down there myself, so looking forward to that. A rare 3 p.m. on Saturday away, so that would be nice. And yes, we shall be here next week as ever, talking about that kind of stuff. So yeah, and that will do us. We've basically done the hour. On the Patreon show this week, we are going to get into a bit of mental health chat, as I said at the start. So that is obviously a little bit heavy, and you might not want to go over there and watch that. But if you do, come and join us over there. We talk about lots of different things on the Patreon, not just football, not just mental health. We talked about aliens, we talked about music, we talked about, there's even bits of politics, there's all kind of life, being middle-aged, all of that kind of stuff. The idea is that it's just a little bit different to this, but we have done 138, was that right? 138? I think 138 free shows we've done. Yeah. I think that was right. So if you've enjoyed most of them and you fancy supporting us, Patreon is the easiest way to come on and do it. £4 a month. You can pledge a little bit more if you want, or you can go to Buy Me a Coffee, Late Challenge Podcast. And we've got a thing there where you can just throw a little bit of throw our way as well to help it all keep running. In terms of going to Crystal Palace away, by the way, one little bugbear for me is that people always make out that they're this massive bogey team for us. Now, we've gone there 33, or we've gone to Crystal Palace away 33 times, and we've lost 8. So, we've triumphed there quite a lot. Yeah. So, this idea that, we never get anything at all.
The one that everyone references wasn't even a defeat, it was a draw.
Yeah. I know, that's what I mean. It's like in people's heads about Crystal Palace. So let's not have it in their heads. Let's go back to their heads and let's see where we get. And if you're coming over to Patreon, then cheers. See you over there. If you're not, see you next week. Nice one for watching. Hopefully that's been 1 hour and 3 minutes, David.